Alright, what's up guys? Clayton here with Idea Swell. In this video I'm going to show y'all how to do these little video background blurb elements for your buttons, wherever you might want to use them. Aside from showing you how to do this effect that I've done here on the Conscious Ink website, I'm also going to give you guys some tips on optimizing your video for this type of usage for background videos on a website. And really what that comes down to is file size. I'm going to give you a good couple tricks for your tool bag so that your videos will play and it won't cause your site to load too slowly. There's a lot more you need to do for site loading with Divi, but at least the videos shouldn't be a problem if you follow the steps I'm going to lay out for you. Alright, so let's jump right into it. Let me show you what I've done here and what we're going to be working on. Okay, so my buddy Rob Secco over at Conscious Ink needed a site. We wanted to do something kind of brand matching. He does a lot of really cool, what do you call it, the dots. I'm going to put it on the screen here because I can't remember it, but it's kind of a minimalistic, clean style that he has. So that's what we did on the website. Plus on the site, we wanted to make sure that the focus was on the art and not on kind of overdoing it with kind of too, you know, not a big wow factor of the design, more wow factor of his art. So keeping with that minimalistic aesthetic, we did these really cool video background buttons. So if you hover over any of these, they actually do have a hover effect. If you, of course, are on a computer, you know, there's no hover effect on a mobile device. Jumping right into it, I'm going to cut right through all the crap of this video and tell you the real trick to this with Divi is simply doing your video backgrounds as each part of the column in a row. So you basically make a row, you set the settings for a specific column in that row to have your video background. Then of course in the row you add a button and you add some padding and some margins, and it's really that simple. But I am going to walk you through it entirely here. We're going to jump over to my site and we're going to kind of recreate this. Now, before you actually start in the website, what we really want to do is start with the videos themselves, kind of get all your building blocks together, and then build your house. So, for the purpose of this, I just took kind of some footage out of my video reel and made some short clips and exported those as you would probably normally export any of your videos at 1920 by 1080. That's a high resolution video. However, for this purpose, we really don't need it that big as far as the width and height goes. And we also need to compress that file. So I recommend using Handbrake. I'll add a link in this video description to it. It's a free program and it is awesome at compressing your video and basically optimizing it for the web. So opening Handbrake. Here's one of the videos I did for this. I did 3 of them. Okay, so let's start at the video tab right here. Normally this is going to be around 22. I want you to turn this up to 24. And then come over to dimensions. Now you'll see by default there it is whatever your video already was, probably 1920 by 1080 or 1280 by 720. We're going to switch this to 700 by 394. And that is basically shrinking the width to 700 and the height appropriately to match that. If your video is some other dimensions, bring it down to around 700 in width and just make sure you are proportionately bringing the height down. I noticed Handbrake did not do that automatic for me. Then hit enter there. Over on the summary tab, we want to make sure we've got MP4 file and also web optimized. And actually change the file name. I normally add a C for compressed or O for optimized. Then hit start. Let's have a look at that file and see how much compression we got. Okay, so our original was 103 megabytes. Our optimized 1.4 megabytes. I'd like to see it even smaller than that, but we'll see how this works. And I'm going to show you guys what it would look like if we were to leave that at 1920 as well. Alright, here's our finished file, and it is 10.2 megabytes. So by cutting it down to the 700 width instead of the 1920, we have saved 800% file size. That is a huge savings, especially when you are hosting these videos on your own site, which is generally the method you're going to use, although I will show you another method at the end of this video on how to host these with Vimeo Pro. Okay, but anyhow, you get the idea. We've done our first video. It's at 1.8 megabytes. I'm actually not too happy with that. I want to get that smaller. What I should have done is pulled the audio out of this as well. So we are going to do that. We are going to pull the audio. Okay, 1.3 megabytes. Let's see how the quality looks. I'm not thrilled with this quality, but be it that it is a background video, I'm not overly concerned with how great the quality is on this. This is really a secondary aesthetic feature to help captivate that audience, to get them to look at this area of the site. So that's going to work for me. I'm going to go ahead and do the other two. You guys be sure to follow along and optimize all your videos. Okay, now I'm making a folder called Ready Clips just so I know right where these videos are and I can kind of upload them all rather easily. I know it's this one, oops, not that one, right? I think those are the ones. Let's throw those in that folder. Let's see our file size. It's 800 kilobytes. Under a megabyte is a great place to be for a background video. Generally, you won't be able to get it there if you're doing large videos, such as you would use in a hero section of a site. But however, for this single section of this site, we've got 3 videos all tallying up to about 3 megabytes total. So not great for our site's file size, but at the end of the day, I think it's worth it. I don't think it's going to hurt our load time all that bad, especially as long as we have everything else optimized. Getting ahead of myself, let's stay on track here. Alright, so jumping back over to Divi, I've made a pretty basic page here just to show you guys you know, how to do this. So let's add a row. We're going to do a 3-column row. And then we're just going to add a button into this first column. I'm not going to worry about that. Okay, so now in the row settings, click on one of the columns, the first one, background, video, add a background video, upload files. Just going to upload all of these right now. Just make my life a little easier when I come back to do the other columns. Alright, if you're worried about search engine optimization, be sure to fill out this information. Hit upload video, and boom, we've got it there. Now you'll notice it is only as tall as the content in that section. So while we're still in this column, let's jump over to design, spacing, and we want to give this a top and bottom padding around 50. That should be good for the purpose of this, but feel free to you know, extend that as you see fit. Alright, unfortunately you're going to have to do this to each individual column. Obviously I'll have to because the videos are unique, but you know, there probably is a way to extend this padding to the other columns without doing it uniquely. But I'm not sure what that is, so let's see. I don't see it. Maybe there's one here. Yeah, I was looking for one of those expand this rows or this column style, but I don't see it, so I'll jump over here, design, spacing, top and bottom. Don't worry about the left and right, by the way. We're going to take care of that when we get to the next step. Okay, so now let's look at our buttons. We're going to do a custom style for these buttons. And bring our text size up quite a bit. 25 looks good. Text color, leave it at white. Button background, switch that to black, and then come down to your opacity slider. We're going to bring that down quite a bit, say about 30%. That last number I believe is the percentage of how opaque it is, or how translucent, whatever you want to call it. Alright, that looks good. Let's click on the little arrow there, the little mouse pointer to indicate our hover effect. And let's bring our opaqueness to about 80%. Looks good there. Alright, let's get rid of this border. Let's get rid of these rounded corners. And then let's go up to alignment and center that button. Now right now it's showing us how the button looks on hover effect, and that's alright. It will go back to normal here in a moment. I'm not a huge fan of using icons within buttons, so we're going to take these off, especially for how we want this particular section to look. You know what? Let's adjust this text just a little bit more. Not a huge fan of how that looks. Let's bring it to all caps. Let's bring the sizing down just a little bit more. Actually, we're gonna go down to this button's padding. Bring it up a bit. Same thing with left and right. Alright, that looks good. Alright, now we're going to save this button as a global element by hitting that little icon, a circle with the arrow in it. Layout name, BTN is always a great starting point for your button labels. And let's just call this blurb videos. Make this a global item, be sure to check on that. Well, check it, don't check on it, it's there. No need to worry about it. Alright, and here's the fun part. We're just going to duplicate this button, drag it over here, and editing these settings. When you change the button's title and link, be sure to turn off the global factor for those elements. That way it doesn't change on every button you create. Okay, another factor with the row here, I want to make this row a little bit bigger on desktop, and we're also going to tweak the way this functions on mobile a little bit here. So, sizing, custom gutter width, yes. Let's bring that to 2. Let's bring our width all the way up to 92%. Max width is fine. Row alignment, let's center it just to be safe. Alright, now let's go to max width and let's switch this to tablet. Because what we've done is we've created these videos and they're only 700 pixels wide. If somebody has a giant tablet and they come to the site and we haven't done any tricky CSS to prevent these columns from collapsing, they're going to collapse and they're going to be like 1300 pixels wide, and you're going to get a really pixelated background video. Easy fix for that. Set the max width on tablet to 800. And yes, that means it will still allow it to stretch, but not by too much, and not so much it's noticeably bad. The phone you won't have to worry about. So now when it comes to tablet, now another thing we can do is we can add a little extra spacing on tablet so that they're not quite so wide and short. So let's do that. Unfortunately, you have to do that in each column section settings, or in each column settings within the row. There we go. Alright, so spacing, top and bottom, we're going to change this on tablet to about, I think 84 looks good, because you don't want to go so big that they really try to sit and watch these videos. The whole purpose of these is so that they click the buttons. But that looks good, so you can go through each one of these and set that padding for tablet only. That would also affect the phone, or you could also affect the phone if you saw the need to. Alright, so that's your pretty simple tutorial on creating these background blurbs with buttons on them. They look great. I actually don't use them on my site a lot, but I should. I actually just haven't spent a whole lot of time doing design related stuff on my site. Alright, so let's see, am I missing anything? Yes, Vimeo Pro. So if you happen to have a Vimeo Pro account, you can actually use Vimeo to host and stream your background videos, and I'll show you how right now. In Vimeo, go over to any of your videos, and let's click on one here. We'll do this guy. And we're going to come over on this left-hand side. We're going to go down to Distribution and scroll all the way down, and you're going to copy the link for the high-def file. Now this is really different than the file sizes we were saving on the site. For the site, we need the file size small because our hosting company, our server, is actually, showing that video along with our site when it loads. When you use a company like Vimeo or YouTube to host that background video, they are streaming that video, so it doesn't actually have to affect your site's file size. Okay, getting back to it though. Distribution, copy link, and let's go over back to our site. Let's do this last one here. It's our third column. Background, we're just going to dump this, add a background video, insert from URL is the key here. Insert into post, and save it, and boom, Vimeo Pro is now hosting that video that is no longer on our website directly. Alright, I think that's pretty much it. If I think of anything else, I'll put it in the blog post. It's going to go along with this video. Check the video description for a link to that if you're not already there. Okay, I'm going to have to interject. As I edit this video, I realize a few things. One, I might need some anti-reflection glasses. The reflection is pretty bad. Anyhow, two, I didn't show you guys how this works on a mobile device. So maybe if you're watching this and you're thinking, man, I might not do this, this might not work on mobile. Well, it does, and you no longer have to do web.m file formats to get it to work. So I'm going to show you guys on this Motorola phone, which is at least 2 years old. I think it's a Moto something or other. Yeah, let me show you guys that. Alright, and I also have an iPhone 11 Pro here. And yeah, so that top section there, you'll realize is a bit taller, more padding, because I didn't do the other two sections, columns that is. Definitely looks better, taller. However, speaking of looks, that's the other factor I realized watching this edit back. I'm not a fan of these at all. I really liked the way this looked on the Conscious Ink website, because they were black and white videos with subtle buttons. But if you're going to do background videos like this, you really need the button to stand out a little more. So just keep that in mind as you're doing this. Don't do this purely for effect. Keep in mind there's always an end use, there's always a goal, and that's generally to get the click, and that would lead to the conversion. But make sure all your buttons and all your elements in your site make sense from a design standpoint. And lastly, one thing I didn't go over is the fact that Vimeo Pro is actually quite expensive. It costs I believe about 200 bucks a year. I use it for other things aside from just background videos. However, I'm sure that if you're doing big hero videos, big 1920 by 1080, huge videos, even at 5 seconds long, they're going to be pretty big file sizes. So if you want to try out Vimeo Pro, I believe they have a free trial for a little while. See what you think. It might just be worth it. And also you can write it off at the end of the year. Alright guys, let me go back to this other guy for the send-off. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, hit subscribe. I post how-tos every so often and then a bunch of random stuff. It's all somewhat interesting at least. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Have a great day. Till next time. Later. Pancho says bye everybody.
Bye everybody.